Greetings everyone and welcome to Coffee Black, where the Voyager adventures continue on YouTube. I'm your host, Captain G, and this is the channel where you get your refill of everything Star Trek Voyager related, from trivia, news, reviews, and more. So before I talk about today's topic, I'd like to encourage new viewers to subscribe to the channel, also check us out on X, formerly known as Twitter, and visit our Facebook page for more Voyager content. So we have our first episode breakdown video for the first two episodes of Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. I decided to combine the first two for this video because they were listed as parts 1 and 2. Computer access file, Into the Breach, Alpha, and Magnify View Screen. So at the beginning of episode 1, we see Starfleet trainees in a tactical training simulation that eventually reveals Murph as he jumps into action and helps the team complete the mission. Afterwards, he receives a recruitment invitation from Vice Admiral Janeway for a special mission. In the next scene, we see Rok-Tahk giving some kind of report about how she determined a way to keep tribbles from procreating. She's interrupted during her report by the same message from Janeway. The next team member to receive a message is Jangan Pog, who is awkwardly trying to be well-mannered around his fellow aspiring cadets. Next, we see Zero sitting by themselves on a bench observing two humanoids showing physical touch and affection, which is foreshadowing Zero's wish to experience that type of connection. Zero also receives the same invitation from Admiral Janeway. Finally, the last member to receive the message is Dal, who decides to skip his class to observe Starfleet fighters taking off and flying overhead. The whole crew, minus Gwyn, are all reunited, and Dal references her absence, saying she's probably the queen of her people by now. Jankum also explains how he's trying to be nicer to people after he teases Dal, implying that he needs to learn how to use the sonic shower. Next, we see a shuttle about to taxi the crew to their destination, and for those unaware of this scene and hadn't seen the clip several months back, there still was a clue to their assigned vessel by the way of the shuttle having a clearly marked registration number revealing the USS Voyager-A as its assigned vessel. In the scene, we also get to see the Doctor, and Jankum tosses his bag to the Doctor, expecting him to chauffeur for them, and the Doctor says one of his classic Doctor lines, "I'm a doctor, not a butler." The EMH Doctor brags about his Delta Quadrant fame and insists to the kids that they will grow to appreciate him as much as they appreciated hologram Janeway, something that Jankum Pog disagrees with, but still struggles to try to remain neutral instead of arguing. The Doctor also explains that he has a holographic mobile emitter, allowing him to travel anywhere. The Doctor takes the crew away on a shuttle towards their new ship, and explains that their mission will revolve around the wormhole that was created when the protostar self-destructed, and reveals that a distress call was received from Captain Chakotay from the future. Dal expresses his frustration with all the timey-wimey stuff, and Rok-Tahk implies Dal had never read Quantum Mechanics 101, a joke that continues to repeat throughout the next few episodes. Finally, the shuttle arrives at their destination at the newly christened USS Voyager. It's revealed officially as a Lamar-class starship with 21 decks, 2 schools, and a crew complement of 800-plus crewmen. The Doctor not only references that the original Voyager is a floating museum, but also states that the rest of Starfleet is busy with the Romulan evacuation, a reference to the destruction of Romulus. While on board during the tour, the cadets pass a trio of Nova Squadron cadet hopefuls, and Dal admires their prestigious pins. The Nova cadets, however, are rude and shrug off the stares of the new cadets. They're excited when they see Janeway and her command crew, but the joy is very short-lived when she has to move on to matters on the bridge, something that makes Dal suspicious. Janeway enters Voyager's bridge for the first time and makes a comment saying that she already promised Admiral Picard she wouldn't get this one lost in the Delta Quadrant, a reference to the original Voyager being lost in the Delta Quadrant. From here, the Doctor takes the cadets on the turbolift and drops them all off at their designated stations. Jankum is dropped off in engineering and practically salivates at the sight of the warp core and implies that the new Voyager-A has a slipstream drive. The next stop is one of Voyager's 16 holodecks, so Murph can continue training on what appears to be a Klingon holodeck program. The doctor then takes Zero to sickbay, and they witness a Bolian resident giving birth. Next, Rock is sent to Station Ops, and Dal is hopeful that he'll get to shadow Janeway on the bridge, but instead is taken to a room full of books to study. And the book that was offered before the doctor leaves was Temporal Mechanics 101. Afterwards, Dal and the rest of the cadets are in the mess hall, and he tries to explain his plan to sneak into the Jeffries tubes, because he's tired of studying. His proposal is shot down by the others as they're content with their studies on the ship. The cadets all systematically leave the table, most notable being Rocktalk, who says she has to feed the dolphins. A fun reference to the dolphins that were supposed to appear on TNG and later were actually shown on lower decks. Dal sulks in his quarters and decides to call Gwyn, who apparently is still on her way to her home planet. After talking about the other cadets and another reference to how Dal hasn't read Temporal Mechanics 101, Dal makes a slightly romantic comment and awkwardly tries to recover from it after Gwyn makes a funny face in response. Dal continues to try to rebound from this statement, unaware that Gwyn's funny face was the result of the pad freezing and communication being lost. In sickbay, Zero marvels at the close bond corporeal beings have with one another through touch as they observe the Bolian mother and her newborn. The doctor, possibly seeing a kindred spirit in Zero, offers words of wisdom and tells them that everyone has the ability to evolve beyond their own programming. Their conversation is interrupted by a hail from Janeway, who asks the doctor to meet her to discuss their mission. The doctor slips up and says he'll meet her in Shuttle Bay 3, before correcting himself and telling Zero Voyager only has 2 shuttle bays. This leaves Zero suspicious, and they visit Dal, waking him up after finding him asleep during his studies. Dal is more than eager to investigate and prove that Janeway and the command crew are hiding something, and by the time they reach the Jeffries tubes, the whole gang decides to join him except Rock, who protests their plans and chooses not to join them. Although I'm not sure how Rock could actually fit in those Jeffrey tubes, even though they do seem to be a little bit larger and less claustrophobic. They make their way to Shuttle Bay 3, and once they reach the room, they discover a cloaked ship after Dal kicks a cylinder into it. The arch doors light up and the cadets hide as Janeway and her command crew begin their secret meeting. Janeway decloaks the vessel, calling it the Infinity, and confirms that Admiral Jellicoe has canceled their covert op to rescue Chakotay. As the cadets are hiding on the ceiling, a drop of Murph's sludge falls to the floor, but luckily goes unnoticed. Janeway maintains that she'll wait before actually scrubbing the mission, while her command crew all voice their loyalty to her and the mission to rescue Chakotay. A second drop from Murph falls to the floor, and while it's noticed by the Andorian commander, the cadets still remain unseen, ending the episode. Now on to Episode 2. Into the Breach, Part 2. The episode starts with Gwyn and her pilot on board a shuttle headed for the Vaknarak homeworld, Solum. Gwyn is nervous, but her pilot tries to reassure her that she's so prepared that she's read the first contact protocols more than even Admiral Picard. Gwyn beams down to the planet and is instantly noticed by the curious locals. She begins speaking out to them about life on other planets and about the Federation. 2 guards appear and escort her to the Citadel to meet with a pair of leaders known as Elders. Gwyn explains her mission and the reality that there is life on other planets, but is cut short when it's revealed that Essentia had already beaten her to Solum and told the Elders that Gwyn was an alien spy. Essentia uses a hologram of Solum's destruction and even has her own younger self appear to prove that she herself came from the future to protect her people. The Elders tell the guards to seize Gwyn, and she fights off the guards. She also avoids an attack from Essentia as she jumps through the glass of the Citadel. Dodging and hiding from the guards searching for her, Gwyn tries to contact the shuttle for an emergency beam-out, but watches in horror as the shuttle is destroyed by the Vatnarak warships. Meanwhile, Voyager arrives at the wormhole in the Beta Quadrant, proceeding with tests by sending a probe. Elsewhere, Dal and the cadets debate why Janeway didn't share all the information about the mission. Rock complains that their stunt has made her an accessory, and she's overheard by the Vulcan Nova Squadron cadet, Majel, who begins questioning them. Dal calls it an inside joke and waves Majel on to go about her business. Dal insists on finding out more information and decides to climb back into the Jeffries tubes to spy on the bridge. Meanwhile, on the bridge, a mysterious anomaly appears and hails Voyager. The anomaly warns them that they can't enter the temporal rift and that all would be lost. Janeway asks where they're calling from and the anomaly disappears. While the command crew tries to make sense of what happened, Dal falls onto the bridge and tries to claim he was doing maintenance. The commander escorts him off the bridge, but being unwilling to be left out of what's really going on, Dal hollers that maybe he'll meet Janeway later on Shuttle Bay 3, just as the turbolift door shuts. By the time Dal reunites with the other cadets, the Doctor materializes and says Janeway wants to meet with all of them in the observation lounge. Meanwhile, on Solum, while Gwyn is evading the guards, her face begins to glow as she nears a familiar presence. She makes her way to a structure and finds a younger version of her father and tells him that she is his daughter. Back on Voyager, Janeway seals the lounge and demands that the cadets tell her how much they know about Shuttle Bay 3. Janeway then proceeds to tell them about an isolinear chip discovered in the leftover wreckage of the Protostar, as well as the Protostar's black box, revealing video footage recorded in the future of Chakotay and his first officer attempting to recapture the Protostar to prevent it from being used as a weapon to destroy Starfleet. After his first officer fell in battle, Chakotay sent the ship away on autopilot and left a farewell message for Janeway saying he was sorry and that he was doing this for her. Janeway says the mission is dangerous and time travel is not to be tampered with, but then proceeds to tell the cadets how she plans to tamper with time by rescuing Chakotay after he sends the Protostar back into the past. Janeway also explains the designs and schematics of the Infinity and references its cloaking and temporal shielding to resist temporal paradoxes, a nice nod to the Krenim, who used the similar technology in the Voyager 2-part episodes Year of Hell. Janeway asks the cadets to keep what she's told them a secret for fear that if Starfleet finds out, they might remove her, so the cadets choose to keep her secret. Meanwhile, on Solum, Gwyn tries to explain how she came to be, and to prove her authenticity, shows her father the family heirloom which is identical to the one he has in his possession. He admits he's a lonely astronomer on a planet that cares little about the stars, but despite this he offers to help Gwyn. The diviner takes Gwyn to the Arcanium, a library of their people's history and knowledge. While there, a robot similar to the diviner's Dreadnought appears, startling Gwyn, but her father promises that the robot is called the Lore Bear, basically a library with legs. Gwyn places her heirloom into the ball of light and accesses information on an ancient ritual that will allow her to prove her worthiness to the Elders. Back on Voyager, and Dal is bragging about how they're in on the big mission details, but says those details will remain safely in Shuttle Bay 3. Majel overhears Dal and begins interrogating him and the other cadets, but this time Dal was unable to sway her curiosity. As she turns to report their suspicious actions, Zero attempts to stop her, but Zero's Medusan psychic ability enhances Magel's own ability, giving her even more knowledge about what they've been up to. Majel runs to the turbolift to rally her Nova Squad friends and to find Shuttle Bay 3. The cadets head to the Jeffries tubes in a race to beat her to Shuttle Bay 3. On the way there, the cadets open a hatch right near the cetacean deck, revealing a humpback whale. Obviously, there be whales here on Voyager, an obvious nod to Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. The cadets make it to the Infinity and attempt to take the ship so it isn't discovered, but Majel and her Nova Squadron buddies arrive and try to arrest the cadets. An all-out brawl ensues, and in the chaos, Majel gives Jangum a Vulcan neck pinch. knocking him out and sending his head right into the ignition button, starting up the ship. The thrust sends Rock, Murph, and 2 of the Nova Squad members out the back of the ship, and they watch as the hatch closes with Dow, Zero, Jangum, and Magell still aboard. The Infinity exits Voyager and heads straight toward the temporal rift. The second anomaly appears again, attempting to contact Janeway, warning them not to enter, but it's too late. Janeway helplessly watches as the Infinity crew enters the rift, ending Episode 2. So there you have it. Those are my breakdowns of the first 2 episodes of Season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy. Overall, I found these episodes to be very entertaining, very well written, and chock full of fantastic Easter eggs. They weren't necessarily perfect, but I think as an opening and introduction to brand new characters and new circumstances for the characters we already know, it did a very good job of breaking everything down. I think overall the acting was great. The effects were fantastic. I really liked the designs of the Voyager-A as well. So I'm basically going to go ahead and rate both of these episodes as one episode, and it gets 8 cups of coffee out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe for more Star Trek Prodigy reviews and breakdown videos. I'll be doing more breakdowns of the rest of the episodes in the near future. Thanks for watching. Take care. Live long and prosper.